Hi, I am Robbie, and this is Allison, and we are Awakening Soul Truth. We are here to help people awaken through this time of ascension. She's a medium, I'm a yogi, and we're both meditation teachers and Reiki masters. Our last episode was talking about the big snowstorm we had and the feeling of isolation and the triggers that were happening with people, reminding them of the pandemic. And we were feeling anxiety. Well, the snow has melted. It is gone. And we are openly talking about the anxiety that we have experienced. And we are not even stressed. We're not going through anything major necessarily right now in our lives to create this anxiety. And we're not typically prone to anxiety
at all.
So we opened up this conversation this week with a few of our best friends who are also light workers.
And we're experiencing anxiety still.
And a lot of other light workers are experiencing anxiety as well. And it's not limited to light workers because we think everyone is experiencing this to some level or degree. So we're going to talk about what this anxiety is and where we think it may be coming from. And you had the great idea of thinking it's the anxiety of the unknown because 2024, as we know, is going to be a bold, big, transformative year.
Yeah, and anxiety is a separation in the self. It's like there's a separation that's happened with your divine essence. And so you're kind of lingering out there. And for us to heal, for us to really move from third dimension into fifth dimension, we have to integrate. And that might be something that occurred in childhood, like a trauma. That might be something that happened in a past life. We could even go as far as saying there are past lives that have gotten stuck. And so there might be a part of you stuck in a different dimensional space. But what's happening, it's the greatest thing. It's like, we're done. We're just done. We're done with all of that fractured parts of us. And we're being asked and forced, not forced, the energy assisting us, and we are literally integrating. I have had more past lives of my own integrate in the past 4 days than I have ever experienced in my life. I'm almost having trouble walking around because I'm just like, oh, wow, that was interesting. Literally, I had one being mentally ill. And by the way, I think people would see this as a dream. I have these while I'm awake. I'm integrating my past lives as awake, and I'm getting anxiety right before it. Right? I'm having that anxiety, that rush, and then I'll have this experience of remembering a past life. And in this past life, I have this place of being institutionalized with mental illness and a doctor coming in and saying, stop fighting, just stop fighting. And in real time, I actually listened to that wisdom. My soul was like, wow, I really needed to hear that right now. It was like, stop fighting, the integration. Just let it flow. And I literally stopped fighting, and that past life, it's like it becomes smooth. And it just...
This is why I appreciate having you as such a good friend, because when I was going through my anxiety through the snowstorm, I was waking up in the middle of the night, as I told you guys last week, and I felt like I was being suffocated. I felt like I couldn't breathe. I felt like I was being almost like buried alive. And it was such an awful feeling. I had to get up and pace the house and take a shower and regroup and breathe and do affirmations and all the things to like get back into myself, remind myself I was safe, and then I went back to bed. What in the world? So I contacted Allison and I was like, I really think this has to do something with past lives. And you kind of confirmed it because you were going through something similar. And what I appreciated about our conversation, you said you don't even have to be and this is, I think where you can relate to probably me, because we're not as gifted as you are,
Nope.
at least at this time. I think we're all going to get there.
We're all going there.
But we don't have to be conscious of exactly what that lifetime is. Like, you had the remembrance, you could see it and you heard it and you were able to integrate it. But the beauty of the advice you gave to me was you don't have to necessarily be conscious of what that past life was or what you had to go through. Right. It's resurfacing, and it's kind of like a test in a way of, how are you going to get back into your heart? How are you going to...
What are you going to choose?
Oh, mic drop. What are you going to choose? Are you going to choose the fear and the anxiety? Or are you going to use your tools and techniques and come back home to yourself and drop back into your heart?
Yeah.
So that's what I've been doing, and that's what I encourage you guys to do if you're having these bouts of anxiety. Now, some of our dear friends weren't being as open about this.
Right. It's coming up in nightmares.
And I messaged them through a text, and they contacted me through a text saying the same. They were having so much anxiety. In fact, one of our friends was saying she had just set up an appointment to go to the doctor because she was having so much anxiety and she didn't know what it was stemming from.
Right.
And so I was reminding her of the tools to use and what was helping me. And anyway, she's going to start putting that into practice and see how that happens. But even another one who's a psychic and a medium like you also woke up the same night. It was Sunday night, actually. I believe it was Sunday night.
Yeah.
And she woke up the exact same night at the exact same time.
Wow.
It was the same time and everything. And she felt like she had to clean her house. So I want to continue and say, I was listening to the psychic that I listened to out of Great Britain. And she is completely changing her formula and her format for what she's putting online. And she's great. I mean, she does all kinds of readings. She has been focusing a little bit more on the political drama that's happening. And she just posted that she's going to stop talking politics because of how toxic it is.
Oh, so toxic.
And how her trying to read that energy and share with us that energy, she doesn't have the room for it anymore. She doesn't have the capacity for it anymore. She doesn't want to do it anymore. And she's going to focus more on other things, such as the positive side of what we're going through to move into New Earth.
Nice.
And she goes, we're going to leave politics and religion and set it off to the side. She was mentioning that a lot of light workers or people who have been doing a lot of this deep healing work already are going to be tested and are being tested as we continue to upgrade into this new system.
Yeah.
And I think that's what you were just saying. You have a choice point. What are you going to choose?
Yeah. And to move through these levels of anxiety, which are happening for everyone, it is to choose to be heart-centered and connected to the divine. And I do think we leave all the things that were false and outside of ourselves. So false systems fall apart because they're not true to the heart. And once you're true to the heart, once you're in that space of heart, the anxiety is disappearing like instant, right? And we're integrating lessons really, really fast. So it's almost like, in a way, like a dream come true. If you think about it, light workers included have all been in third dimensional reality. We couldn't help but be selfish. We're all kind of me first, truly. All of us have that perspective. It's the way our society and our makeup was built.
It's what you've been trained to be.
Yeah, trained to be. It just... you couldn't help it. Like, you think about your truth first. It's really hard to find somebody who thinks of others first. Or if they are thinking of others first, it's usually because they're being manipulated and hijacked. So there's that. But this transition is truly such love and compassion that it's oneness first. And anything that doesn't represent the oneness or the connection is going to dissolve. And we have a lot of systems that represent competition, that represent I'm better than you. I'm first, you're second. So all that will naturally dissolve because it's dissolving internally for each of us. It's so great, actually. It just takes a minute. So feel free to be really gentle with yourself and move and embrace the anxiety. Don't run away from it. Embrace it, and then it's done.
You've been healing people for a long time, and we've noticed a pattern with you in particular that whenever there's a big healing about to happen, and you may not even know it's happening or who it's going to come through,
right?
But you start to feel and experience some things ahead of time.
Yes, and I get a little anxious before an actual big healing happens.
But I also wanted to bring that up because you could very well be someone who feels anxiety or starts to notice things like you do, like say before a session.
Right.
And it's just kind of giving you like a little inkling of what's to come. So this is where our awareness needs to stay heightened, and we need to keep paying attention, and maybe we can, kind of put those dots together, connect the dots and see the connective piece.
Yeah. It's normal to have a little bit of anxiety before you step into the unknown. Right? So the unknown can be anything. It can be going to a new job. It can be having a baby. It can be career move, moving physically, whatever. There is a bit of unrest before it happens. And I think humanity as a whole is feeling this unrest. And I think it's great news. Personally, because what's on the other side is fantastic. Right? So sorry for the anxiety. It's temporary.
And another thing that I was telling Allison the other day, we've been talking about this for a while, how much the planet is shifting and how much humanity is shifting and how much light is coming onto the planet and coming into our bodies because we are light, energetic beings.
Yeah.
So our physical form is actually going through a metamorphosis right now. It's actually going through a mega change. Even with our DNA structure is becoming completely changed. And so if that's happening in the third dimensional, fifth dimensional, all of the above, then we're going to feel something from that. And it could be that unfamiliar feeling or space or dimensional thing that we're tapping into that's creating the anxiety.
Right. And I think we've always believed in and been able to get to places of sacredness and experiencing the fifth dimension, like through yoga and through meditation and through, whatever it is you use, whatever tool, but it's always been temporary.
Mm-hmm.
And I think New Earth is a place where it's no longer temporary. It's, right? So it feels like it's happening really, really fast. How fast can you drop in? You have the anxiety, you kind of walk around. If you embrace it, like what was mine this morning? I woke up just like so solid. And on the earth this morning, I was like, fuck, excuse me. I was like, oh, I'm so heavy. And I talk to you and I'm like, my feet are like glued to the floor and I feel like I'm suction cupped and I feel like I'm being pulled down and my knees hurt. And I'm like, what is happening?
Yeah, it actually took us 2 hours to actually finally get in front of the camera
today.
Because
it was a lot of adjusting. I woke up with anxiety this morning and just kind of pissed off about third dimensional realities and, all the adulting.
Yeah.
all the, just all the crap you got to take care of to make sure your house and family run smoothly. And then I meditated, and today I had the reverse reaction. I was like, I got solid, but solid in a very peaceful place. And I think this is a pretty big indication of what we can expect. Being solid in light. It's just going to take a hot minute to get used to.
We do want to bring up something else that we've been experiencing, and this is a topic that may not feel like it ties in with anxiety, but it does. And as healers, we have noticed the same thing coming up over and over again with clients.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's literally nonstop, and it's women coming in who have been abused.
Sexually abused. Yeah.
Or physically, verbally, emotionally, but a lot of sexual abuse.
Oh, right. I mean, it is everything. It's practically every client. This is why we're really clear and passionate about our job, because we know that women are freeing themselves from a pattern of being less than.
Mm-hmm.
And women are taking back their power.
Yep.
And it takes a lot of work, and the trauma is real. The trauma is held in your body, and it's overwhelming. I mean, we cry. The other day, I was like, just go out and scream to you. Just go, let it out.
Yeah. It's literally almost every client right now. And there was one that I had in my home last week, and I called you up, and I'm like, I want to go outside and scream off my back deck. And it had nothing to do with her. The session went well, and she actually told me she was very thankful and was hoping that it would come out during the session.
Yeah.
That it would come up. Because she hadn't told me any of this beforehand. And sure enough, it did. And she's been doing the work, and she is healing, and she has gotten her power back, and she's doing fantastic. But she knew there was still something, lingering. And it just, some days it's a little maddening. And then, 2 days later, I have another client, and it's like the same story.
Issues coming up.
Different person, different name, different place.
So to
Similar
talk about
situation.
how women can heal this is, we say, I am releasing this trauma from my body. When you say I release the perpetrator's energy from my body, I'm done owning your pain. I'm done feeling responsible, because a lot of times there's a conquest or a power over structure that takes, with the sexual energy, that takes the light of the person they're harming. They want that light because they're substituting it for the real light, which is your heart. So when you can say, I'm releasing the perpetrator's energy from my body, you'll really feel it leave. And then you'll have a void, and you can fill it up with your own energy. And that's by saying, I love who I am. I love who I am. And then eventually there's stages and levels. It's not a one and done all the time. So you might actually and hopefully get to the place of, I forgive you. Mainly to release it more from your body.
Yeah.
The power of forgiveness is a release. For you, you'll never get that other person to say they're sorry for you to forgive them. It actually works the other way. If you can forgive them first, and if you release from their energy and that trauma, that entanglement, it actually helps them heal eventually. And we want the masculine energy to move into the divine masculine energy, just as way we want women to move into the divine feminine, which is taking back the respect and the honor and the love and the grace that they are, and for to be honored. But for men to take their masculine energy back, it's to remember, I have my own light. I'm also good enough. I am, like, that male energy is very structured. They can be very logical. It needs to come into balance. We wouldn't be over-sexualizing everything. Everything is over-sexualized.
Yep.
We sell things through sex. We dress our children like prostitutes. I mean, the clothes some people put their kids in, I'm like, they're not an adult.
I agree with you, but I will say, some of the parents don't have a choice. I mean, really, it's being made.
Oh, I know. I agree, but see, that's the problem. That's all that's being made. Like, how did that even become a mindset?
Yeah, when did 5 and 6 year old girls need to wear the trendy clothes that college girls wear.
Right. They don't.
It's two completely different phases of life.
Not judging prostitutes. Like, absolutely. As many sexual abuse cases you have, I have tons of women that have been prostitutes in the past, in their past lives, and really integrating that piece of overseeing that false form of sexual energy and using it to their advantage to survive. You know, and the fact that they had to survive pleasing another person's ego version of, I mean, I see when sexual energy is misused as an ego's version of connecting to the divine. It's short term, it's fake, it's powerful. That orgasm is powerful. It goes right up and down the spine, but it's the true divine energy holds for longer periods of time, right? It feels like it doesn't come and go like that. And so when I look at women selling their bodies to be repeatedly used for somebody's false version of connecting to the divine, it's hard. It's a lot to heal.
There's probably going to be more anxiety coming up and showing up this year.
Or this
week. Yeah. And
let's go with this week.
Like for me, it hits in the middle of the night. For you, it was hitting this morning, or, you know, before certain sessions occur. So just notice when you happen to feel this, and then remember to use your breath. The breath is the first thing that you want to try to use to get the mind and body connect again, to drop back into your heart again, to calm your nervous system, to remind yourself that you are safe. And for me, those first couple nights that it happened, I couldn't breathe because I was so stuffy and my allergies were so bad. So that's when I had to start using my affirmations. So, you know, figure out what tools work for you. I mean, it could just be walking outside, feeling your feet, your bare feet on the ground, you know, in the grass, in the sand, wherever you live. You know, whatever technique works to get grounded and to remind yourself to be present and to look around and know that you're being cared for and to trust that we're all being cared for.
We're all ascending.
Yeah, no one's going to be left behind.
We're all going to have light, be grounded and permanent and solid.
So when we do the meditation today, would you mind leading us and doing the technique that you were just mentioning about releasing, you know, the energy of trauma from your body, releasing, you know, people from your body, and then coming back home to say that you love yourself.
Right.
I love it when you lead that.
Okay.
And it's very helpful.
All right. So you drop us in and then.
Okay.
All right. Thanks. Because you just did the whole breath thing.
So at first, just acknowledge your breath. And hopefully you feel your airway passage open. And if you feel like it's not, feel free to breathe openly through your mouth. Witness the breath coming and going. Notice the details within the breath. And try to smooth out any rough edges.
I'm going to pause this for a minute. As she's breathing, and I'm not sure if she's aware of this, but I'm going to ask you. You are actually integrating a past life right now. And it was very violent. And because when you were talking about how many lifetimes how many people you were healing, that had been perpetrated. This was a very violent past life where you were physically assaulted over and over again. And you died in one of those fights, and I just felt the whole last moments of your life playing out like it just happened right now. Like it literally.
Oh, wow.
You just were tumbling and fighting and moving through it. And so, like, to understand this more when a past life is integrating, like you weren't aware of that, were you?
No.
So, which is great. She was focusing on the breath, but I could see in my mind's eye and feel all of this past life energy playing out. And so it's just kind of done now.
So that's probably where the anxiety's been coming from, feeling suffocated. In fact, you know, a couple evenings where Rob just came to put his arm around me to kind of snuggle with me, it felt like such dead weight. I felt like I was being held against my will, even though that was not his intent, and he was sleeping at the time. And I would force his arm off because I would be like,
right. Yeah.
Oh,
I'm glad we got that. I'm glad we got to the bottom of that.
So
just feel it in your body. Just keep breathing. Keep integrating it. So as you breathe, because we're just going to let Robbie breathe, being mindful and only paying attention to your breath. And affirming, I am loved by the divine. I am willing to heal and connect deeply with love. I am willing to heal any trauma from my current lifetime or a past lifetime. I allow that trauma and that pain to surface as I am held in light and love. I allow it to surface while I'm feeling the support of love, knowing that this anxiety, this trauma can and is healed. I release it from my body. I release the trauma of any sexual abuse, any verbal abuse, any physical abuse. I'm done holding it. I release it from every cell and every part of my being. I release this trauma from my body. I breathe into my heart. I accept divine love. I am loved. And I allow this love to filtrate through every cell in my body, move through me, expanding, healing, bringing grace. I release the trauma and the perpetrator's energy from my body and my soul. I release them to the light and love of the divine. We're done. I am loved. And love, divine love, is my foundation. Divine love is your foundation. And so it is.